One of the questions that I get whenever I speak to my friends back in Jamaica, because I'm not in Jamaica right now, one of the questions that I get when I speak to my friends is, "What's it like?" And that was just how I came up with the answer. So, what's it like here in Manitoba, Winnipeg, to be exact? What's it like for me also? Hi for those coming in on Instagram. Also, what's it like for me as a father, husband, father, Christian, Adventist, and everything in between. And I had actually, this is actually my second attempt at doing a vodcast, which is basically a video and podcast. And I decided that I would do it this way because I like a challenge. I could have just done it as just a regular podcast, which is coming to you on wherever you get your podcast, whichever digital space, Spotify or uh, Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Amazon streaming. And I decided that I would spread it out and give myself a good challenge, being as how I am. Actually, I am a media student from Northern Caribbean University, which is a university in Jamaica, formerly West Indies College. It's an Adventist university, for those of you who don't know. Now, what's it like? We'll seek to journey into some of my innermost thoughts, some of my musings that I have. Sometimes a lot of people don't know this. Only my wife really, because sometimes I'm at home and I'm quiet. She's saying something and I'm just whatever, not whatever, but and I'm hardly talking, and that happens sometimes because I am actually thinking through something and having conversations in my head. Not a lot of people know that, but now you guys know. At least the three people on the Facebook Live. I mean, the Instagram Live. And that, a lot of those conversations that go on in my head, I decided that I would have some of these conversations on in my podcast. And before I go any further, I just want to say thanks to our sponsors, Walter's Weddings. If you are looking for a wedding in anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, from as far north as Canada or as far south as Trinidad and Tobago, Walter's Weddings is here for you. We are a destination wedding media service which does both photography and cinematography of your weddings. We are based both in Canada and also in Jamaica, which is the third best wedding destination country in the world as of last year, 2001. And Walters Weddings seeks to give the client the best wedding cinematography and video production that service that you'd like, whether it is live streaming, drone photography, drone footage. We can do it in addition to regular photography. Well, nothing's regular about our service, but yes, Walters Weddings is that company which seeks to do everything on the media side of the wedding and then some. We are also partly sponsored by the Imagination Island of Innovation and Media. So, one of the things that I wanted to speak about in this first podcast, and as you can see, I have nothing in my hand because, as I said, these are thought questions that are in my mind. And for those of you who are coming on and on Instagram, if you would like to be a part of this conversation, feel free to drop in and we will facilitate you in a way that also we hope that the people on Facebook, and YouTube can also hear you. Sorry. So, what was I saying? Yes, so I know this has been several months since it happened, but I still want to speak about it, and that is, I want to tell you a story, right? Let me tell you the story, and then I'll get into the meat of the matter. So, imagine, if you will, a firstborn son who grew up with his mom and his dad and his siblings. Let's say he has a brother and a sister which came after him, right? But he's the firstborn. And he has an abusive father and a mother who is the sweetest person in this world that you could ever think of. This man is of an entrepreneurial spirit, even though he came from a disciplinarian background. It's one of the services, a public service. It could be a fireman, it could be a police officer, it could be a soldier. And his mother was also a civil servant, whether it be a teacher or a nurse, or one of those middle class, one of those middle class professions. And this man, this boy, first of all, saw his father abusing his mother. Well, he came up one evening, saw his father abusing his mother. And just imagine, if you will, he was so scared and afraid and frightened that he allowed the abuse to continue. He didn't say anything. He allowed it to continue over and over again. So much so that he left his house, right? But he never stopped the abuse, and the abuse continued. And he promised to himself that he would never become that man, right? Now, after going through life, through his paces, and this story this is where there are two versions of the story, and I'm going to continue saying one version that is well known, right? So he promised that he would never become this person, and he kept on getting beaten down and bogged down, so much so that, hi Craig, so much so that he started to believe that he was a coward. You know, why didn't he stand up to his father? Why didn't he stop the abuse? Why? And he continues up to this day. And he's married, he's in a marriage, and he starts seeing people taking cheap shots at himself and also his family and his wife and everybody who is around him. This man then one day, in a fit of rage, gets up and assaults someone in broad daylight. For those of you who are listening, you might know who I'm speaking of. And that person is Will Smith. Remember earlier in the conversation I say that there are two versions of this which divert. At that point in time, everything in the story up to when the person left their house, it was the same as with me. Will Smith and I shared almost the very identical same story up to when he left his house. Well, actually, up to when he got married. You know, both of us, we had an abusive father, and we grew up thinking that, we're never gonna be like that, XYZ. No, I say that to say this. Many of us have the ability to go left or to go right, even though we may have the very same conditions, right? Now, it's just up to us to decide whether we go left or whether we go right. Now, dare I say, first of all, I do not condone violence towards any human being for any reason at all. I don't condone it. However, it is important that we look into ourselves before, as the Bible says, we cast the first stone. We look into ourselves and see how easy it could have been for us to, and see how easy it could have been for us to have gone on the same path. Now, what I would like for us to do as human beings, I'm not even going to use the Christian, I'm not even going to use the word Christian, but what we should do as human beings is that we should, first of all, see the similarities, not just the differences, but see the similarities between ourselves and the people in the public eye. Yes, they're in the public eye. Yes, they should set an example. But at the same time, we need to see the similarities before we condemn. Now, I'm not condoning violence in any form towards anyone. All I'm saying is, see the similarities between yourself and the person in the public eye that you judge. As such, I would like for us to focus on this. It is not necessarily who you think you are when everything is all well and good, but it is who you become whenever you're under pressure. Again, I say this is YORX and Walters for What's It Like, and thank you for tuning in for the first episode. I am your host, YORX, for What's It Like with YORX, and do join us for the next episode. Thank you.